Welcome to the Water Polo Champions League highlights. Round 3 was the most exciting one so far this season. Radnicki managed to snatch victory in Tbilisi in the last minute. Jadran dominates Vasas in Budapest. And in Group D, the visitors are taking the spoils, Savona in Piraeus and Sabadell in Kotor. These are the results of Round 3. Steaua Oradea 19-20 after penalties. Novi Beograd Hannover 10-8. Dinamo Radnicki 9-10. Ferencvaros Jadran 18-9. Vasas Jadran Herceg Novi 6-14. Barceloneta Marseille 19-14. Olympiacos Savona 9-10. And Primorac Sabadell 14-16 after penalties. Steaua hosted Oradea in a Romanian derby in Group A. Before this match, both teams had one win, both of them against the same opponent, Hannover. The difference in points was because Oradea didn't need penalties to win, so they entered this match with a 1-point advantage over their Romanian rival. The guests took the first lead through Tbilisi with an extra player right in the first minute. But the host response was strong. They scored 3 times in a row. First, Živković equalised with an extra player. And Vušković gave them a 2-goal difference with a shot from outside. At the first break, they left with only +1 because Vančić responded on the other side. In the second quarter, there was a reversal. After Steaua's lead of 4-3, Oradea responded with 3 goals in a row. First, Gardashevich equalised in the middle of that part of the game. And then followed the goals of the same player and Belagnesi, who scored with an extra player a second before the end of the half. Then came the answer from Steaua. They turned a 5-7 deficit into a 9-7 lead. The series was started by Fule with an extra player. And Živković finished, also with a numerical advantage. The home team entered the last quarter with a 2-goal difference. But then a new series followed, this time directed by Oradea. In the space of less than 2 minutes, they scored as many as 3 goals. And thanks to Gardashevich twice and Negrea's goal, they again turned the score in their favour. This incredible match full of twists and turns had a new twist, now directed by Steaua. This time they scored 3 times in a row. Kolovdrovski from the centre position, Fulea from the counter, and Teleplus with an extra player brought, it seemed, victory to the host. But the guests who managed to return didn't think so. First, Gusurov restored their hope. And in the thriller finale, Gardashevich scored a 5-metre shot just 4 seconds before the end to equalise. It ended 13-13 and the match went to a penalty shootout. Steaua missed the first one. In the third series, Živković failed to make it. However, in the next series, Vančić also missed for the guests. The decision was made in the 8th series when Živković's shot was saved by Dovižavanov and Gardashevich realised his shot for the final 2019. Oradea got 2 points and Steaua got 1. Gardashevich excelled for Oradea, scoring 6 goals from 6 attempts, while Georgescu was the most effective with 3 goals at Steaua. The unbeaten reigning champions of Serbia versus the reigning champions of Germany, that managed to pick up just a single point in this European season. That's the just of things when it comes to the second match within Group A. The home team's coach, Živko Gorčić, couldn't count on Đuro Radović, while Aleksandar Radović went on a 1,400-kilometre long trip without the injured Hrvoje Benić. The first quarter started off good for Novi Beograd. Angelos Vlachopoulos found the back of the net first, while Kasper Langevids answered with a fine shot from the centre position. A mini-series of 3 consecutive goals followed as George Vucinic, Miloš Čuk and Bilal Gabarmasi all scored their first of the game before Antonio Buha, one of the few curations within the German club's cap, netted his first of the game 2 minutes before the end of the quarter. It was quite an eventful 8 minutes, especially when you compare them to the second period. But nevertheless, 2 extremely valuable goals were scored by the German side to make it 5-4. If you thought the second quarter was uneventful, you just wait. The home side's goal drought ended after 9.5 minutes, thanks to another goal from Martinovic to put 6-4 on the scoreboard. But that was about it for the goal-scoring part. All the lack of goal-scoring scenarios was compensated for in the last 8 minutes. Martinovic opened the quarter with his 3rd goal of the game for +3, being the biggest advantage for Novi Beograd. And goal after goal it went, right until Mark Ganson decided to spoil the home side's party. 2 fantastic goals took the game into the water of uncertainty yet again, but not for long. It was 9-8 for the hosts. Langevids alongside Marco McCann, who went off previously, got the bystander status. And it all went down in the last 60 seconds. An extra player attack finished off on the left side of the attack, courtesy of the top scorer of the match, the Greek national team player Vlachopoulos, who put the game to bed for the final score, 10-8. In the meeting in Tbilisi in Group B, the calculation was clear. Both Radnicki and Dinamo needed a win to maintain their chances of one of the first 2 places, given that both were defeated in the first 2 rounds. The only difference was that the team from Kragujevac had 1 point, while the Georgians had none. The start of the match definitely belonged to the home team. They took the lead in the middle of the first quarter through Yakhaya. They managed to increase their advantage at the end of that part of the game with a goal by Akvledienia from a counter-attack. Where it started in the first quarter, Dinamo continued in the second. At the beginning of that part of the game, Tukeshlasvili also scored. Radnicki's first goal was scored only after more than 10 minutes of play. It was the work of Stanjevic with an extra player. By the end of the first half, the guests managed to reduce the deficit with 2 goals within 40 seconds. First, Herceg scored from 5 metres, and then immediately the next attack, Strahinja Rasovic was precise from the counter. Where they left off, the Serbs continued in the 3rd quarter as well, so they very quickly reached a tie. It happened in the middle of that period of the game wherein Gavrilovic scored from the central position. In the last quarter, the home team still took the lead after Vepensky's goal with an extra player. Drama ensued in the last quarter. Radnicki reserved as Herceg scored 2 goals. Dinamo answered that with their 2 goals and soon found themselves in the lead again through Ciccavani. The same player gave the home team a new advantage with a counter-attack goal halfway through the last quarter. However, the end itself belonged to the guests. A minute and a half before the end, Vasas scored with an extra player. And exactly half a minute before the end, Marseille, also with an extra player, brought victory to Radnicki. In the winning team, Jashic and Vasas stood out with 3 goals, while 3 players in the home team scored 2 goals each. It was number 1 against number 2 in Group B on Bela Komjadi-Kul in Budapest. One of the main favourites for the title, Ferencvaros against Croatian champions Jadran split. The Hungarians came into this match with 2 clean victories in the first 2 rounds. Jadran needed penalties against Radnicki, so they had a point less. A clean start of the game for the Fradi. First Vamos and then Nagy for 2-0 after 2.5 minutes of play. After, Bucic scored Jadran's first goal. Agiropoulos takes the Fradi to a 2-goal advantage. Jadran fought back, and in the second quarter they managed to turn the game around. Fatovic equalised with his clever turnaround after Ciccone saved his first attempt. Then came the best part of Jadran's play in this game. Bucic surprises Ciccone from the outside, and Jadran is in the lead 4 minutes before the end of the second quarter. The Fradi quickly came back. Mandic finishes the second quarter with his first goal of the game for 6-5. Baraszniecki was not happy with his team's performance in defence. In comes Fogel on goal. Ferencvaros closes the gate. There are no Jadran goals in the third quarter. On the other side, and consecutive unanswered goal by Ferencvaros, this one by Disoma deserves to be seen. The ball taken in defence and then coast to coast for 8-5. The third quarter finished with Ferencvaros leading 12-5. The last 8 minutes started with a Jadran goal. Bucic scored for 12-6 to stop the drought that lasted 14 minutes and 50 seconds. The last quarter didn't change anything. Ferencvaros takes another 3 points. Another convincing victory for Ferencvaros. It finished 18-9. Another set of points was up for grabs in Budapest as Vasas locked horns with one of 2 Montenegrin representatives in this season's edition, but also one of 2 clubs who still didn't manage to take a single European point, Jadran Herceg Novi. Looking at the match overall, you could say it was a one-way street. The only time Vasas managed to draw the result was in the first 2 minutes of the game. First, Dimitri Kolod netted the first power play. Then it was Soma Lakatos who answered from the right wing, but that was about it when it comes to the goal-scoring prowess, or better say it, the lack of. The home side went 3 goals up by the end of the quarter, with Kolod scoring a brace, announcing it will indeed be his night. The top scorer of the game ended up netting 3 more, but not the first of the second quarter. That goal belonged to Benche Batori, the captain of the home side, who turned their extra play advantage into another goal. The lack of offensive display was shown yet again, as it was the only goal Vasas managed to score in 16 minutes of play. Meanwhile, Kolod remained extremely in the mood to score. Just look at this one. Sladovic scored his first of the game with only 33 seconds before the half-time, but it was clear who's taking the points home. 7-2 on the scoreboard, and Kolod took his tally up a notch one more time with the first goal of the penultimate quarter, with yet another power play. Batory from the penalty and Nikola Dedovic through another numerical advantage scored in the time span of around 3 minutes. It was the same amount of goals that were scored in almost 20 minutes of the game. But that result of 8-4 was as close as it could get when it came to catching up their opponents. The last quarter was a rhapsody of goals through and through, 8 of them in total and mostly from the guest side. The captain, Alexander Ivovic, Danilo Radovic, Jovan Vujovic and Uroš Vucerovic all found the back of the net to make it 12-4, the biggest advantage yet. Roland Gash scored 2 terrific goals for the home side, with a special focus on this one. And when it comes to Vladimir Gojkovic's side, his son Strahina scored his second of the night from the penalty. And Danilo Radovic secured the +8, meaning it was 14-6 for the guest side as a final result. Barceloneta opened the Champions League with 2 convincing wins in the first 2 rounds, and they want to continue that streak in the home game against Marseille. The French, on the other hand, had a half-successful performance in the first 2 rounds, so a win against Barceloneta would have opened their way to the second round. It was a game with a very high number of goals. Elvis Fatovic's team opened the game well with 2-0 after Tahal scored a goal from the centre position. The same advantage was there after the first quarter, when Vigvari was precise, with time running out from the left wing. At the beginning of the second quarter, Barceloneta took the lead for the first time by 3 goals through Sanuja. It seemed in the first half that they would turn the game around early, but Marseille managed to get back into the game. They quickly equalised when Primorac scored a goal from the outside position. But after that, the home team made a series of 3 goals in a row. Granados started it, and Sanuja concluded it with a goal half a minute before the end of the half. It became clear that Barceloneta would continue their winning streak after Bustos converted an extra player that was from the post at the beginning of the third quarter. Marseille threatened a little with a goal from Cusiliad, but that was all they managed to do. The Spaniards easily maintained their advantage until the end. Granados made sure they entered the last quarter comfortably, with a goal half a minute before the end of that part of the game. Marseille's game completely fell apart at that point, and Barceloneta went up to 7 goals when Biellara scored. The French only slightly reduced their advantage until the end, through Anguial from a counter-attack. The final score was 19-14. Granados stood out with 6 goals for Barceloneta, while Anguial was the most effective with 4 goals for the visitors. Both Olympiacos and Savona needed a win to stay in the race for one of the top 2 spots in the group. The Greeks fumbled in the first game when they beat Primorac only after taking penalty shots and thus won 2 points. In the second round, however, they played much better and beat Sabadell away from home. The Italians, on the other hand, experienced failure at their swimming pool in the first round when they were somewhat unexpectedly defeated by Sabadell, while in the second they outplayed Primorac in Kotor. It was Savona who opened the game better, with 2 goals in the first 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Bruni scored from the centre position in the first attack, while Oradea increased the lead with an extra player. At the end of the first quarter, it was 3-1 for the guests. However, in the second, Olympiacos got back into the game. Genadinias reduced the score to just -1 with an extra player, and Funtelis returned the score to an even from the penalty. At the end of the first half, the score was 5-all. However, Savona never allowed Olympiacos to take the lead. With a mini-series of 2-0, they took the lead again. First, Merkulov took advantage of the situation with an extra player, and then Oradea scored in the same way. The Italians entered the final quarter with an 8-6 lead. The last period was goal for goal, which suited Savona. Less than 3 minutes before the end, Zelenki reduced the difference to just one goal with an extra player. But as it turned out, the key goal a little more than 2 minutes before the end was scored by Occhioni from the centre position. All Olympiacos managed to do until the end was to reduce the score through Genedinias, but they did not use the last attack to equalise and possible penalties. For Savona, Merkulov was the most effective with 3 goals, whilst Olympiacos was led by Genedinias with 4. In the same evening that Savona stunned Olympiacos, another team that had a chance to do the same on match day 1 was ready for another European clash in front of their audience. Primorac, the reigning champions of Montenegro, wanted their first full set of points against Sabadell, who already secured their 3 points 20 days ago. Uncertain and unpredictable, that's one way to put the 32 minutes of play in Kotor into words. It was immediately clear that it was going to be a long night, and a night filled with turnovers and great displays. Alberto Barroso netted the first of the game from quite a bit of distance. Savo Cetkovic, one of the key centre attacking components, managed to equalise in the following attack from the first home side's power play. You could see the pattern straight away. Goal after goal when one of the sides took the lead. 2 goals from the opponents would follow to get the advantage back. 9 goals in the first quarter, with Konstantin Averka scoring a brace, as well as Marko Mrsic, another Montenegrin national team player. One of the best goals in this high goal-scoring affair of the first quarter was scored by Cetkovic. The second of the game from a beautiful action shot. Just look at that pass by Draško Berguljan, that vision and precision from the home side centre. 5-4 after 8 minutes, followed by another 8, not so rich in goals. 2 on each side, meaning Jan Perez and Alex Bowen got the lead back for Sabadell. But in 2.5 minutes that remained. Mrsic's penalty and Nemanja Vico's power play goal from the right post got the minimal advantage back for the home side. 7-6 was on the scoreboard as we approached the penultimate quarter. The goal-scoring portion offered only 1 hit of each side of the pool as Perez netted the equaliser once again, but this time Averka got back to his previous goal-scoring ways with a counter-attack and a precise shot from the left side. 8-7 for Sabadell entering the last 8 minutes, equally exciting as the first. Remember the pattern from the previous quarters? One side gets the advantage and the other one answered through 2 consecutive goals. Yep, well, we saw the scenario once again. Luka Mrsic and Berguljan reversed the advantage. Francisco Valero, with a bit of luck, scored the 9th equaliser of the game. And as time was ticking, it was increasingly certain that the additional point would be awarded after the penalty shootout. Dodije Stanijevic, but also Stanijevic with another goal, and Correz to top things off and ensured that 11-11 was the final result, even though there was an extra player advantage for the home side with 1.5 minutes to go. It wasn't used, neither was the last attack, courtesy of Sabadell, so we got an additional few minutes of tension and suspense. After 3 rounds of penalty shootout, Petar Cetkovic was the one who hit the frame of Eduardo Lorio's goal. Vincenzo Renzuto Iadici had all the burden on his shoulders. Should he score, Sabadell takes 2 points home. And in the goal it goes. Sabadell travels back home with an extra point, making it 5 out of 3 match days. After 3 rounds, there are 3 teams with 3 victories. Novi Beograd in Group A has 9 points, and if they beat Steaua away in the next round, they've qualified for the quarter-final stage. Oradea is second with 5 points. In Group B, Ferencvaros is on 100%. They are through if they win in Tbilisi. Jadran is second with 1 point more than Radnicki, but they meet each other in Kragujevac in the next round. Barceloneta is the 3rd team without lost points. If they win against Vasas in Budapest, they are in the quarter-finals. Second place is up for grabs. Jadran, Herceg, Novi, Vasas and Marseille all have 3 points. Group D is total carnage. A second away win gave Savona the lead with 6 points. Olympiacos and Sabadell have 5 apiece, and Primorac is last with 2 points after they lost a second penalty shootout in 3 rounds. That's all for this episode. The next round is in 2 weeks, so we'll see you then.